Hello everybody and welcome. This is Kelly and we are so glad to have you back today at the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel. We are celebrating because we have hit 10,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. So in celebration, we're having a video hop. There's also a discount over at honeybeestamps.com and you have the chance to win a $100 gift card. All you have to do is hop along with us in that video hop. All the links are in the description box below. Leave a comment on each video and then you're in the running to win that $100 gift card. Our winner will be announced right here on our YouTube channel Thursday, August the 13th on our live stream. So make sure you catch that to see if you are the winner. Okay guys, so I have a really fun card and technique to share with you today using some of our new products from the Hello Summer release. I'm going to use those super cute little birds of paradise along with the palm fronds stencil. And so to get started, I am busting out my brand new Misty, and I have to tell you guys, this thing is a Cadillac. I'm so excited. It just makes me giddy. So I have my cute little birds of paradise here. I'm going to use those sweet little flamingos and I am going to stamp the flamingos plus every single leaf and flower in that set because I want lots of little accessories to go along with my flamingos. Okay, so after I stamp those and cut those with the coordinating dies, now I'm ready to get into the meat of this card. This is a fun one. So I'm going to cut down some 8.5 by 11 paper. This is Neenah Solar White cardstock. I'm going to cut that right down the center at 5.5 inches. So that's just like what you would do if you were doing a side closing card base. I'm going to do one more exactly the same, cut it right down the center at 5.5. And so now I have 4 sheets of that cardstock. I'm going to take one of those and I'm going to cut just like you would do a card panel at 4.25. So now I have a little panel that's 4.25 by 5.5. Actually, I've got 2 of those. I'm going to set one aside because I only need one for this card. And I'm going to cut just a smidge off of the side and the top. And that's so when we do our little card technique and build this kind of little box card, everything fits and folds and adheres nicely inside. So you just need a smidge off of each side. Okay, so I've got my cut cardstock and I am ready to take my little score buddy and I'm ready to score everything out. Now this is what is important. You need to make sure that you have everything scored appropriately. So I'm going to score this one just like I would a card base at 4.25 inches. You can see there I can fold that up and that is just like your typical A2 size card base. I'm going to give that a squeeze with my bone folder and then I'm ready to move on to the other larger size. Now this is going to have 3 score lines in it. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. So I'm going to find the 1/2 inch marker right there. I'm going to set my bone folder right into that little groove and then I'm going to score it all the way down. And then I want to go to 4.25. So just like you would for the center of your card base. And then I want another score line at 4.75. So I should have 3 fold lines or 3 score lines now. I'm going to hold it up so you can see all 3. So I've got one at 1/2 inch, at 4.25, and 4.75. Okay, now for one of our smaller panels, I need to score each side at 1/4 inch. So I'm going to hold it there at the top because it's easier to get my bone folder in there. Again, I'm going to find that 1/4 inch mark, start it, and then hold it at the top. And then you can see I've got 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, now I can start folding and making sure that everything is nice and creased with my bone folder. If I take one of those smaller sheets and then I'm going to fold down the sides where I did the 1/4 inch on either side, and you can see those flaps kind of sticking up there towards the top of the screen. That's what we want it to look like for that one. And then I'm going to take that large panel where we did the 3 score lines, and I'm going to fold it around. And after you fold this and get everything squeezed down with your bone folder, it's going to look like a little box. So again, I'm just going carefully around, getting everything folded down and scored. And then when I hold this up, you can see how that's going to form the little box there. Okay, I'm going to set my score pieces aside, and then I'm going to take that one that I just cut and scored like a card base. Now I need to trim off 1/2 inch just from the back side of that card base. So I've got my score line there, I've moved it over, and I'm going to cut off 1/2 inch. And let me show you what that looks like when it is folded back up like a card base. You can see how the back side is shorter and smaller. That's the way we want it. Okay, so I've got my palm frond stencil, and I'm ready to start stenciling to add some beautiful color and decoration to my card. So I'm starting out with that panel that has the 3 score lines in it. You can see I'm placing my stencil on the opposite side of that 1/2 inch little flap there on the far right side. That's going to be the inside. So when you open your card and you view through whatever shape that you die cut out, that's what you're going to see in the background. So you can see I've taped down my stencil. You can see that 1/2 inch flap there to the top, and I'm stenciling on the opposite side of that, which is going to fold up and be the inside of our little box. So I'm using my Honeybee Stamps blending brushes and some Twisted Citron oxide ink. I'm going to peel that stencil back, and then I have some nice, beautiful citron green color there that's going to be perfect for the inside of my card and the flamingos. Okay, so when I fold up that card base that I stenciled, you can see that the palm frond stenciling should be on the inside there where that is paused. We're going to die cut the outside with the stacking heart dies, and then you'll be able to see those palm frond stencils through the little windows that we're creating with these hearts. So I've chosen 2 sizes of the hearts. We're going to have 2 little heart windows to peer through. And I have that same piece that we stenciled. I have it flipped over so the palm fronds are on the underside of that. You can see that 1/2 inch flap there to the left. I want to die cut that large area right next to that 1/2 inch flap. And so I'm going to set up the larger heart. I want the largest die cut to be first. I run that through my die machine, and then when I take off my tape and take out that little heart die cut, I can fold it up, and you can see now how we're going to be able to see that palm frond stencil design through the windows. Now it's time to take that smaller panel that has the 1/4 inch scored and folded flaps on either side. I'm lining up that piece of cardstock and making sure that the scored places are in the right spot and that my cardstock is where I need it to be. I'm going to take the smaller heart and I'm holding that firmly in place, lining that up with the larger heart so it's nice and centered. While my fingers are in place, I'm going to tape that down, and then I can take up the outer piece and then run the smaller piece through my die machine. Now I can take out the die cuts here and I can set those aside and always use those hearts later. I always like to save my little pieces. And I am going to squish down those fold lines again because they got straightened out a little bit in the die machine. No problem, you can just squeeze those back down. And then when I close it up again, you're going to be able to see how cute those windows are going to be with that palm frond stencil in the background. Now let's start building the card. So I'm going to take that small piece of cardstock that has the little 1/4 inch flaps on either side, and I'm going to add score tape to both of the flaps. I'm going to take off only the right side of the backing to the right flap. You don't want to take off the left just yet. And I'm going to line that up right to the center of my card and make sure everything is centered and that that is butted up against that first fold line. I'm going to fold over the whole little door that has the large heart cut out. You can see I'm really pressing that down with my fingers to make sure everything is pressed down. And then when you pop it up inside the box, that middle layer is going to be what we just adhered. So there's nice space in between each one. Now the next thing I want to do is take my large piece of stenciled heart cardstock and I'm going to add that to that card base that we trimmed down the back side. So I've just added some tape runner and I am taking that stenciled side of that cardstock and I'm laying that over the part that we cut off or we trimmed off the back. Now you can see how everything's going to fold up in the end. And now I'm ready to kind of put together the rest of my card. So I can remove the backing from the left side of that 1/4 inch flap. And again, I'm going to close the heart side of the door, press it all down flat. I'm going to reinforce that fold that I already had in both pieces of that cardstock, and you can see how nicely all that's going to go together in the end. Okay, so now our last flap is ready to adhere. I'm just adding some tape to that, and now I'm going to close the front door. You can see how everything just fits nicely right into those scored pieces of our cardstock. And then when I open my card, everything is going to pop up and make those nice heart-shaped windows. Now I'm using one of the white hearts that I cut from the cardstock that we saved and set aside. And then I cut out some coordinating citron green cardstock. And to add and kind of add to what we have going on in the inside of our card, I'm going to again use that palm frond stencil and just brush on some of that citron Distress Oxide ink. And then I'm going to add with our precision tip glue, I'm going to add that white palm frond stenciled heart right onto the top of that colored cardstock. And that's what's going to go on the front of our card. Now I'm going to take all of my little die cuts and images that we worked on at the very beginning that we stamped and colored, and then I used the coordinating dies to cut all those out. And I'm going to do my little female flamingo first because she's the star of the show there on the inside. So I'm making sure that she is all adhered down and nothing is going to stick out over the edges. Now this cute little sentiment for the inside was stamped with the Tropical Tweets stamp set, and I cut that with the coordinating dies, and that's going to pair along with the sentiment that we add on the front. But I love that little flocking fabulous sentiment. It pairs perfectly with all of the little bird images. And now I can have fun just arranging everything, getting my leaves placed both on the front window with my little flamingo and then on the inside window. So everything is layered around and gives the illusion of those windows and then peering through to that palm frond stencil background that we did on the inside. So I'm just going to add a few more leaves in here and there, placing those right around that cute little flamingo. And then I add some of the florals. And then once I have all my little leaves and florals and of course that cute little greeting in place, you can see all the different layers of this and how fun that is going to be for the recipient when they open their card and get a little window surprise there. So I'm going to hold everything up and you can see all those cute little layers and of course the flamingo there in the front. So next I'm going to start working on the front of my card. And you can see how nicely that card closes. That is still going to fit in our typical A2 size envelope. It is a little bulky because of the layers that we have inside. So before I really start working on the front side, I am going to add a little bit of purple tape or masking tape just to tape down the corner, and that keeps the card closed. So as I'm working on the front, it stays closed, and then that tape, when I'm finished, will peel up nicely. So I'm going to place my little flamingo there on the front, and then before I get too far, I'm going to stamp the UR to the front, and again, that's from the Tropical Tweets sentiment set. So that's going to go perfectly with the Flocking Fabulous sentiment that we placed on the inside. So I've sped this up, and I am just going to surround that cute little flamingo with all of my Copic colored leaves and flowers, and I'm also going to add some up in the top right hand corner. And to finish off my card, I just added some of our adhesive gems to the center of the flowers. You can see there, I just love this bright and fun tropical card. And of course, this design is really fun and different as well. Make sure you check out all the info in the description box below. That's where you're going to find your exclusive discount code. That code will be good from August the 8th through August the 13th. Also, don't forget to comment in the comment section below, and then hop along to each video, leave those video comments, and then you will be in the running to win that $100 gift card. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks again for subscribing.